Hey, good morning, Aaron. You are my best friend in the Cassandra world, and I'm always excited to talk to you about what you're working on, Java and Cassandra. We all know currently you are involved in many different roles. You're a Apache Cassandra committer, you authored books, and you contribute a lot to the tech community,
Mhm.
and many other roles you are in. You regularly talk about Cassandra, Java, machine learning, AI. Recently, you started talking a lot about vector search. Um, you also run a podcast called the Apache Cassandra Corner,
That's right.
available via all podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Um, Today, we would like to know more about your past and current adventures, and main intention is to learn from your experience.
Well, thank you, Sarma. Just to clarify, I'm actually not a committer to Cassandra. Even though I have written a couple of patches that did make it into I think they made it into Cassandra 3. That was the last time I messed around with the source, but that was all CQL shell. But yeah,
No,
anyway.
but that is a good intro because you wrote SQL shell, right?
Some of
So
it, yeah, yeah.
yeah, there you go. I mean, that's what you we
I mean,
call
like
you.
very little bits of it, but yeah, I made things better about it. How about that?
No, fix is always required, right? And
That's right. That's right.
so let's say you are a Apache Cassandra committed technical member, right?
Contributor is probably the better way to
Okay,
put that.
that's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. We're going to do something a little different today. Sarma's been talking to me for a while about doing like kind of a reverse interview thing. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. So, welcome, Sarma, and take it away.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here, Aaron, and talk to you about all the things you're working on. So how about we start with the conversation? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and how you got introduced to computers.
Oh, okay. So yeah, my name's Aaron Ploetz. Kind of like Sarma said, I'm a developer advocate with DataStax. Been active in the Cassandra community for a really long time. I think it's coming up on 12 years
Oh
actually.
wow!
Yeah, yeah.
So you started an early version like 0 point something.
0.8.
Wow,
When I was at Granger, we were running 0.8 in production. Yeah. And then
wow.
shortly after I got on the team, I didn't know too much about Cassandra at the time, but yeah, we as a team we upgraded to 1.1, I think. So that was about the time that we went like from, a 0 dot version to a 1 dot version. So that was pretty significant. Yeah. Yeah. Um, as
So,
as far as how I got started, I really have my mother to thank for that. When I was like 10 or 11, something like that, she bought a Tandy 1000 EX computer, and that was what I. Oh, you know what? I might have the book.
wow.
Yeah, look at that. Learning to
Ooh,
program basic for the Tandy 1000 by David Lean.
wow.
Yeah, this
That's
is
cool.
I think this is 1985 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's
Wow.
the book I learned to program from. Yeah.
So what kind of language was the standy? Like, was it similar to BASIC or?
Yeah, it's similar to basic. And I mean, Sarma, that in that age in the 80s, every line of computers had their own dialect of basic.
Mhm.
You'd go to an Apple II, it'd be a little different. You'd go to a C64, it'd be a little different. I mean, even there were slight differences between like Tandy Basic and straight up IBM PC Basic. I mean, it was there were little differences here and there. But
So
yeah, so I did a little bit on all of those actually.
So was this standy computer was a like a Christmas gift?
No, it was just something my mom wanted to get. She was an accountant, so she had a reason to have a computer at home, and I just thought that was really really cool. So I wanted to get into that.
And did you at home did you had to compete with other siblings for this resource
Oh,
or
for
was it
my sister, yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Did you play any games on it?
I did. I still have a lot of them, like the original like Space Quest and King's Quest games. Um, And then, recently on Twitter, we had a little discussion about like some of the text adventure games. And yeah, I used to play Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on that computer too. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
So that's a long way from like, seeing something like Tandy or Commodore going into mainframes and then going into distributed computing. So I guess journey is so exciting, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that brings us to, let's talk about Java, because I see a big Java board in the background there, Java and AI. So
That's right.
about 28 years ago, we were introduced to a new language, Java. We used to use C, C++ at that time.
Yep.
My early experience with these languages, I'm not a programmer, but when I saw pointers, I was lost. I said, I'm not going to learn this programming. I gave up on C, never learned C++. And then Java came around. And the first thing I noticed about 28 years ago, they said, hey, you know what? No more pointers. You don't have to do the memory management on your own. And I said, maybe I'll get into it. And I've been in parallel working with Java a little bit. But what I want to know is how your journey has been since the beginning of Java to now, 28 years later, and what excited you to start with that technology at that time, whenever you started?
Yeah, yeah. So my journey with Java began in when I was in university. I went to the University of Wisconsin Whitewater. So it's like an extension of the main one in Madison, but they had a really great computing program. In fact, the degree program is called Management Computer Systems because, in the 90s, having like a MIS type of degree was all the rave at the time. It's like computer science degrees are today. That's what businesses want. Well, businesses wanted management information system degrees. So that was my major, was management computer systems. And similar to what you mentioned, C++ was like the main language that they used to teach everything. And you're right, pointers they're difficult. It's a little difficult for some people to wrap their heads around that. My last, I think it was my last semester, senior year, I had a class called Client Server Internet. And
Oh,
typically in
wow.
the client server, internet class, they take you through like building web pages, just doing straight up HTML, a very little bit of like, early vanilla Netscape JavaScript, But our teacher said, "Hey, we're going to do something a little bit different this semester. There's this new language called Java from Sun Microsystems, and we're going to spend 2 weeks on it."
Wow.
that was it. I had 2 weeks of. Oh, you know what? I still have that book too.
Oh
Actually,
my God.
that's
you
what I
you
do. I
have a
collect old books. This is Java 1.1. This is the book
wow.
that I had for that class. Yeah.
I think you have a treasure on that side of the wall,
I do have a lot of old books over there. That is for sure. Yeah. But anyway, so we did it for 2 weeks, and really, the thing that excited me the most about Java was the fact that it was designed to run anywhere. It was that, hey, you can write your code, and you can take that code and you can run it on a Unix machine. You can run it on a PC. I mean, on a Mac, anywhere. And I always loved that design principle of portability around Java, and that's really what got me excited about it. And then, of course, I think I went the first 10 years of my career without doing any Java.
Oh,
Um,
that's surprising.
until I was finally in a company that used it, and yeah, that was that.
Yeah, we have come a long way from what I remember from the early, as you said, one JVM bytecode and then you run it anywhere was
That's
was
right.
an amazing concept.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then we see today billions of devices running Java is
That's
amazing.
right. That's right. But Sarma, yeah, to your comment about C++, it's like even C++ code needed to be like rebuilt wherever it was going to run. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
yeah, Java kind of threw all that out the window and said, "No, we're just going to build your code once and you can put it anywhere you want."
Well, we do have some people writing C++ with Cassandra, so we know.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
And
so
that's, oh, sorry, just to continue on that, it reminds me, of something that my professor did say that during that semester that this is going to be like a language for the web. And the example he used, I'm not kidding, was you wouldn't write a database in Java.
Oh, come on. So
And here we are,
here we
yeah,
are. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there are more than handful of databases written in Java. I'm sure there are like more
oh
than
yeah,
20
yeah.
today.
Hmm.
So you mentioned a couple of things there which also hit my memory is basically one is client server computing. Um,
Right.
I started way later than you, but then when I started, Novel Netware was still in,
Oh
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
popular. So I started to learn Oracle running on Novel Netware. That's where my Oracle learning started,
Okay.
and that's the client server. And then maybe within 2 years after that, we started seeing Oracle 8i, which was built for internet. Uh,
Right.
they they had this PLSQL toolkit, which we called it as PLSQL toolkit, web toolkit,
Oh,
and
sure, sure.
which would generate like HTML, and then you would directly from your browser go to a specific port on the server. It
Hmm.
will it will show you PLSQL running in the background. Will show you a HTML page, and I mean it was amazing. Like the way we went from just a basic plain black screen into internet into HTML, and it was amazing. The journey
Yeah,
of
yeah,
transformation. So we know that Java started slow, but now it caught up so much, and we all know that Cassandra is developed in Java.
right,
So
right.
how did you get introduced to Cassandra? And we want to know, like, what excited you in the early stages of when you worked with Cassandra. We know you started even before 1.0. So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll talk about a little bit of thrift.
Yeah, so what happened is like I said, I was working at Granger. I actually worked for one of the Granger, they call them specialty brands. So the brand I worked for was called Lab Safety Supply. And they had an office in Janesville in Wisconsin, and that's where my family and I lived at the time. So I had a nice like 8 minute drive to work every day. It was really great. But what happened is I was on the web team for Lab Safety Supply, and I really wasn't a web developer by trade. So I kind of gravitated more toward like a lot of the back end things on our team, and we didn't have a DBA for our SQL database, so I kind of started doing a lot of that work. And then we had a big project where we were going to start pulling in all of our product data from Oracle into the web, so that they'd have one place that our content folks could edit it, and it would go into Oracle, and then we would pull that onto the web, and it would be the same. So that was Oracle 9, and I'm trying to remember if it was 9i, right?
Nine nine.
Because
Yes,
it wasn't till 10 that they did the G, right? Yeah, so
correct,
9i.
correct.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of the database stuff for our team for server and Oracle. Um, and we had a little bit of a reorg at that time, and I got our director moved me from the specialty brand web team, me and my coworker Paul actually, up to like this they called it the mid tier team on Granger proper. So we were building out like kind of like the middle service layer for Granger.com, and the backend data store that was a 5 node Cassandra cluster.
Wow.
So that was how I got started there, and it was right away as kind of writing Java to support and extend our service layer. But as our Cassandra guys started to move on, I kind of fell into the Cassandra DBA role there, and yeah, that was really how I got into it. I actually did Granger's first DataStax Enterprise upgrade, and that was to go straight from 1.1 up to I think it was DSE 3.2, if
Wow.
I remember right there. So yeah, that was a little bit ago.
So which year we're talking about approximately?
This would
This
be
DSC.
2012.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think I
Yeah.
did the upgrade in 13.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, and actually, Sarma, a little funny story around that time. I forget exactly which one of those years it was, but we had a problem where our cluster would slow down, and things were performance was starting to get bad, we had no idea what was going on. We troubleshot a lot of things, and we were finally getting to be DataStax customers. So, my manager came up to us and he's like, "Hey, we got a call with someone from DataStax. So, all right, everybody come in, everybody come in." So we're all in this conference room, and the phone comes on, and he's like, "Hi, this is Patrick McFadden from DataStax."
I was expecting that. Oh my God.
And at that time, Patrick was really doing a lot of DevRel at DataStax. So anytime there was a webinar going on, Patrick was the one running it. So, we're all kind of sitting there, and Patrick comes on, and I'm like nudging my core going, "That's Patrick McFadden. Holy crap."
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the first time that I'd met Patrick. So that was on a support call, right? And now I work for him.
Yeah, Patrick is just amazing.
Yeah.
When I started Cassandra somewhere in 2014, end of 2014,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew about NoSQL, but I never seriously got into it. And then the first few months when I was, searching online, YouTube, Patrick shows up everywhere.
He does,
And then
yes.
that's how I fell in love with it. The first thing is about the people who is talking about it is Patrick, John Haddad.
John Haddad,
Um,
yep,
there are a
yep.
couple of other people, but what Patrick leaves behind is a legacy, right? He
Mm-hmm.
basically
Mm-hmm.
inspires me at least, like a lot of others. So great,
No, for sure.
great start, right?
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so basically, we forgot to talk about thrift. Any interesting stories about thrift?
I'd say the most interesting story I have about thrift is that when we were trying to find alternatives to the existing thrift driver at the time, which was Hector, that was the first Cassandra driver that was out there. And it's all a part of the Greek mythology around, Cassandra
Hmm.
and Hector and King Priam and the Trojan War, all of that. But anyway, in naming of a similar style, we found a library called a Styanax, written by Netflix, and it was still thrift based, but it was a lot easier. It was more of an ORM than what Hector was, and really made things a lot easier. And we thought we were so cool, because if you looked at our imports on all of our services, it said, com.netflix, Netflix, Netflix in our Java code. And we're like, yeah, we get to put Netflix in our code. So yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah,
thought we were pretty cool about that.
we should definitely appreciate a few companies here like Netflix, Apple,
Yep.
Spotify.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I still look at the code and I see Spotify all over, right?
That's right.
So
That's
these
right.
companies have brought Cassandra to this level today, and DataStax. I definitely, appreciate all the things DataStax does for the open source community, um,
Mm-hmm.
writing all the drivers and maintaining them. It's a lot of work, but at the same time, this is what we call commitment, right, to the
That's
community.
right.
So.
That's right.
So, since we talked about the early stages of Cassandra, and then what do you see as a future for Java plus Cassandra, like the combination?
Well, I
And
think that's a great combination, and one that's going to continue on. I think for quite a long time, if only because there's so much, Java code out there written to work with Cassandra that it's just, it's everywhere. It's like what Patrick says, when he says that, my kids will end up using Cassandra someday. Well, yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
that's
no,
cool.
you're right, Sarm. I think that's a pretty strong connection, and yeah, I don't foresee any change in that. I foresee that only trending in an upward direction.
Wonderful. We already had six major releases, if I can count. And then obviously there are many small minor releases which are very important milestones.
Hmm.
And as we march on, I'm happy to have my name on a couple of Jira tickets. You know,
Yeah, there you
finding
go.
bugs or small things here and there.
Right,
But
right.
we'll talk about the contributions because that's a very important thing for open source. Um, so just because we just covered the Java with Cassandra, tell us about vector search.
Oh, so yeah, so vector search. To be honest, I was a little skeptical about it when I first heard we were pulling that in, but now that I've done quite a bit with it, I have to say it's pretty cool. So the idea there is that you're creating a vector embedding, which is essentially like an array of like floats essentially that's it's a numerical representation of like text or like an image. And the cool thing about that is, Cassandra now with 5.0, allows you to do an ANN, or an approximate nearest neighbor. And I think it's a great way to do things like product recommendations. I mean, it really does open up a lot of opportunity to do some really cool things in simple Java applications, things that in the past have taken a lot of computing power to do. Just now we can use vector search, and yeah, it's not a big deal. Like there's a legacy recommendation app out there that I've worked on at one of my prior companies, where there's a job that runs, right, that aggregates all this data around like clicks and cart ads and activity and things like that, like on a per user kind of basis, for for things off the website, so that when you add something, to your cart, it says, hey, other people have also, who added this product, have also added this, and the example I like to use a lot is, hey, you added, a Star Wars action figure to your cart. Well, here are some Star Wars Legos, here's Star Wars movies, Star Wars video games, things like that. Vector search allows you to do that very easily and very quickly. But it's like, I know a lot of those legacy jobs, like the one I'm talking about, it's like this huge Hadoop MapReduce thing that takes like 2 or 3 days to run. And that's just not feasible going forward, A. And then B, vector search is a much better way to do that. So you can take like a product, and like vectorize the like maybe just even the name of the product, and create an embedding off of that. And then when you add a certain product, it can do an ANN of that product name and say, hey, have you tried this product? It just makes a very quick and simple way to do things that really, just like 3 or 4 years ago, where it would take days of processing to kind of build up. And then it's like, even when you're using a recommendation system like that, they don't need to be like totally up to date, but you're using data that's 3 or 4 days old already just when you start. So,
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right. So vector search allows you to, yeah, like I said, a quick and easy way to get around a lot of that.
So you just mentioned one thing I want to get clarity on. You said something called ANN.
Oh, yes. It's an approximate nearest neighbor. So it's an algorithm for vector search. Yes.
So if I put it in a different way, you're basically looking for the similar products, which you can then recommend to the people. Let's say your example earlier, you're buying something Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of these similar products which are Star Wars.
Right.
And then you can now recommend them, say, hey, here is the Star Wars Lego. Okay, got it.
That's right. Yeah.
And just to mention, the vector search is totally built on storage attached indexes, SAI.
That's right.
And they're right now already available on AstraDB.
Mm-hmm.
And the plan is to put it in Cassandra 5.0 when it comes out.
That's right. The next alpha release of Cassandra 5.0 should have that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm running Alpha 1 right now, so I'm waiting for Alpha 2.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
Perfect.
Same here. Yep, messing around with Alpha 1. That's right.
Perfect. So the vector search is very important for the machine learning and AI. I just want to reiterate that, because it's, when we are moving from the legacy way of doing stuff, like as you mentioned, a Hadoop job running for 3 days,
right,
and then the recommendation may be already outdated,
Mm-hmm.
So now basically the vector search along with storage attached indexes will allow us to get a near real-time low latency search,
right,
or recommendation basically. Do you have to take that call?
Oh, you saw that, huh? No,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
it's my sister calling.
Okay.
And she's
Okay.
probably calling to wish me happy birthday, actually.
Oh, happy birthday, Aaron. I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks,
That's cool.
Sarma. Yeah, I
That's
didn't
cool.
mean to or want to bring that up, but
No,
yeah,
no,
I'm pretty
you
sure that's
now
what that was.
now that you bring it up, my elder son, Karthik, his birthday is today.
Oh, no
So,
way. Oh,
so
that's
you
awesome.
share a
Yeah,
birthday.
yeah,
You sh
yeah.
you share a birthday with a popular youngster. So
Yeah, I'm also, we would call it birthday twins with Denise Gosnell. If you remember who Denise was when she used to work at
I had
DataStat,
to.
she was the chief graph data officer, and I think now she's working on Amazon Neptune. But yeah, I already shot a Twitter
Nice.
message over to her already. So
Yeah, I'll have to look up Dennis. I don't remember right now.
oh well,
Okay.
Denise is awesome. So yeah.
So moving on, this podcast we're listening to right now. So the Apache Cassandra Corner podcast, how did it start? And do you have any favorite episodes or guests on your podcast so far?
Hmm. Well, it started, one day I had a one-on-one with Patrick, and he said, "Hey, we got this cool idea. How would you like to do a Cassandra community podcast?" I'm like, "Oh, well, that sounds kind of cool. Sure." And then I'm like, "Okay, just to clarify, Patrick, is this a me thing or is this a you and me thing?" He's like, "No, this would be a you thing." I'm like, "Oh, all right, I think I could try and make that work. Yeah, yeah." So that was really how it started. Was just kind of a casual conversation. Patrick shooting an idea by me like he does a lot, and just says, "Hey, take this and run with it, and just see where it goes." And I mean, I think there's more than 20 episodes out there now. I mean,
Yeah,
there's quite a few.
yeah. See, we are already in season two.
That's right. Yeah, the end of. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And to your other question, if I had a favorite episode or person on there, I've had um Aaron Morton on there a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
And if you know who Aaron Morton is, he's one of
No,
the original
amazing,
committers.
amazing discussion.
Yep, yep. He used to run the Last Pickle company, which was a Cassandra consulting company. And before it got bought by DataStax. And my favorite part about talking to him about that is like how he came up with the name. He's like, yeah,
Last pickle.
I stumbled home and I was a little drunk, and I'm like, oh, I'm really hungry. So he went in there. Yeah, I wanted a pickle. So he goes in this fridge, gets a jar of pickles, and he's like, oh, that's the last pickle.
Yep.
he's like, I need to run out and get that domain name like right now.
But that's a very interesting name.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I saw some of John Haddad's work,
Mhm.
basically, that's when I got into Last Pickle,
Oh,
and
okay.
I do remember it's a very unique name, and we cannot forget it. It's
That's right. That's
so just
right.
to mention, Last Pickle is part of DataStax now. Just
That's
to
right. Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
So the other reason I was asking you about the favorite guest is I was on season one, episode 8.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if somebody wants to go back and review that, season one, episode 8,
Yeah.
shameless plug. um, so there are a lot of young people or a lot of experienced DBAs from different database background. They use Oracle or Postgres, MySQL. Uh, all three products I mentioned are RDBMS.
Yep.
Or the young people who are coming out of college have no experience but want to get into Cassandra world. Uh, Let us know what is your advice for them. Like, what should they
Yeah. And
do or not do?
on how to pick that up, get started learning. Do you think? Yeah. A lot of I'd say probably a really good way to get started is to look around on YouTube. There are a lot of good videos out there on just how to do some very basic things. Sarma, actually, you've created quite a bit of good content out there too for getting started, and I mean, and a lot of your courses on Udemy are free as well. So you really can't go wrong with that. And just to go to another shameless plug, our YouTube channel, DataStax Developers, I think has a lot of great content. We usually have things out there from like the perspective of a developer, but if there are videos out there on like intro to Cassandra, to understand a little bit about like the computer science that goes into it, and how to work with it. There's a little bit out there too as far as videos go on how to do like admin work in Cassandra. So yeah, that, and there's a lot of great books out there too.
So how about, I mean, I know we can find resources to learn, but what I would like to see is like, these people coming from Oracle or the other backgrounds, how do we tell them what they should not do with Cassandra? That's a
Ooh, yeah.
tricky scenario.
Yeah, that's kind of
Any
tough.
thoughts?
I know that I learned what not to do by doing those things.
Give us an example, one example.
I remember in Cassandra 1.1, CQL was brand new, and I was excited not to have to use Thrift anymore, not to have to use the Cassandra CLI, which is what
Mhm.
we had before CQL Shell. And the first thing I did in the table that I was modeling was, create a table that had a unique ID, and then I put like 4 secondary indexes on it, and then wondered why it was slow.
Yes. So to bring like, to let everybody know, uh, it's okay to add indexes in RDBMS, but it
Yeah,
is not at all okay to add indexes in Cassandra. Cassandra does not
generally,
perform
yeah.
well. So there are other use cases where you can use indexes, but you have to be very careful choosing that use case.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
Sarma, there really isn't a magic formula on that one. Um,
you know,
that's a good title for a video though. What not to do with Cassandra? That
because the reason I ask is I have seen many people do this mistake. What happens is current versions, like up to 4.1,
mhm,
when you run a select statement without a where clause, it just says, hey, you know what? Maybe I can run this query if you add allow filtering clause, right?
right,
And then
right.
I have faced many people who just would run allow filtering on everything without
Yep.
understanding what it does.
I've seen that
So
too.
so when we started working on 4.1, it was not released yet. I was reviewing all the documentation and the code, and I created a Jira ticket. I said, you know what? People are misusing the allow filtering just because select statement says it, right? It just shows
That's
it on
right.
the
That's
screen.
right.
So with 5.0, you can see there is a change in the text which displays that allow filtering message. That message comes because of my Jira. So
Nice.
I'm really proud to put something in place where I feel like that was one of the biggest mistakes any outside database guys will do coming into
Yeah.
Cassandra. I have seen one more. I'll spend like only 30 seconds. People coming from other databases, they say, hey, how do I count how many rows are in my table? That's the biggest mistake you can do with Cassandra.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, we talked a lot about the open source community and how it is helpful. Like, we
Mhm.
have to be really involved in the community and contribution. So I believe even if we can correct one spelling mistake in a YAML file, that's good enough as a contribution. So do you have any pointers on how we can get involved in the community?
Oh yeah, for folks wanting to get started contributing, I'm pretty sure we have a doc for that actually. That's on ApacheCassandra.org. If
Yep.
you look out there, it does have ways listed of how to get started. We also do have, I think some of our Jira tickets are tagged specifically for newer folks to if they wanted to go ahead and get a start, that there are certain tickets that they can be directed to. And on the other hand too, the community itself is really helpful. So if somebody's trying something and they have a question, they can always reach out on like the dev mailing list, and someone will help them. Katerina from DataStax is a big proponent of that. When I interviewed her as well, she said that, yeah, that was probably the biggest thing that helped me get started, was just other people being there, and being willing to kind of answer questions and help you get started. So don't be afraid to ask.
Oh yeah, just amazing community here. Um,
Hmm.
so when I fell in love with technology, what really helped me initial stages was the community. Basically, how much content is available, how many people are willing to just help if you had a question, and that kept me going. So I
Yeah.
do what
Yeah.
I do for community because of that same reason. Um, Going back to Java, so we have been still using, a lot of us are still using Java 8. And
Yeah.
recently, there is a long term support version of Java 21 released
That's
uh,
right.
just last month. So, what would you consider the top three features of Java 21? And
Oh.
yeah, so let's start.
It's funny you ask that, Sarma. I haven't talked about this a lot yet, but I have a new book coming out that's in the end
Oh,
of editing, and it should be coming out. I hope by the end of the month. But it's called Code with Java 21,
wow.
and I've worked with BPB Publishing on this one. So yeah, I do have a lot of Java 21 features that I really do like. First and foremost, virtual threads is a game changer. You know, before that, you kind of had to do a little bit of like managing the thread pool yourself. I mean, because really, you know, prior to 21, threads in Java are like operating system level threads and processes. But with virtual threads, you're kind of letting the JVM kind of take a little more control of that, and the JVM can say, well, maybe this doesn't need to be its own thread, and maybe it just needs these resources, and it's really, you know, it's really a more developer friendly way of managing, you know, concurrency and you know, some of the challenges that come along with that. So I think that one's huge. um you know, the other one that's really big too is Java records. um you know, so that way you don't have to go and create like entity classes with getters and setters for everything. There's a lot of boilerplate code, you know, that goes into building like data intensive Java applications.
Hmm.
And if you just have, you know, if you need a plain old Java object, a Pojo, you know, that just has a few properties, a record is the way to go, and you can define it in line, and you have it. And yeah, it's really super useful. You know, and then the other feature that I really liked is you know, a lot of the expansion and additions that have gone into Java collections. So now there are delivered features like get first, get last, and it really helps with a lot of the enumeration and working with, you know, data in Java that comes back in a list or a set or a hash map. So yeah, a lot of that. Those three changes, I think, for developers are kind of the biggest ones. You know, a lot
Wow.
of people like to talk about unnamed classes and how it makes it easier for new folks, and you know, they're not wrong, but in the grand scheme of things, I think those three are the big three.
Wow. So two out of three you mentioned are actually for the database. So I'm sure we'll have a lot of implementation for Cassandra on 21
Oh
when we
yeah,
get there.
when we get there, yeah,
When we get there, yeah. I mean, Cassandra is a very stable product, so it takes a lot of time to test everything properly and change any of these versions. Um, so right now I'm running the Cassandra 5 Alpha 1 on
hmm,
Java 17. Um,
nice.
do you see anything like is 21 already supported for Java
No,
Cassandra
no.
5? Not yet, right?
21 support for 21, I think is probably at least a year away if I had to guess. I don't think it'll be. I mean, this is just me, you know, kind of guessing without really knowing a lot of the details. I don't think it'll be as big a change
Okay.
as going from like 8 to 11.
Hmm.
And again, this is in my discussion with the Katarina where she talked about like a lot of like, you know, a lot of like the default ways we were doing things had fundamentally changed between 8 and 11, and that's why it was pretty tough at that time. But yeah, you know, I would say, you know, we're trying to, you know, in the community to go with like almost a yearly major release if possible. So I would say that would be probably the next time that we'd have a chance of seeing Java 21. But yeah,
Cool. Cool.
yeah.
I'm excited about the new features. Like, when we
Mhm.
had the G1GC went to the ZGC, or
Right,
the garbage
right.
collector, because whenever we talk about Cassandra, we always talk about the garbage collector GC pauses.
That's
Um,
fair. Yeah,
that
yeah.
that really improved a lot. I did not face any issues, but at the same time, I believe the GC is performing very well because I do see the metrics. They're really good on the newer versions.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. We're almost at the end of the year. We are expecting a very big product launch, Cassandra 5,
Right, right.
and we have a Cassandra Summit coming up. So
That's right.
I'm sure you're preparing something like, a very good talk or multiple talks. Tell us more about the Cassandra Summit.
Yeah. So yeah, the Cassandra Summit, I believe, is December 12th and 13th at the San Jose McHenry Convention Center. And the talk that I'm giving is called it's one I've given a few times before. It's called Guerrilla Tactics for Building Scalable E-commerce Systems on Cassandra. And the idea is that you have a lot of core subsystems that go into building like a large scale e-commerce website. So I have tips and tactics in there on like how to model things out for like a product hierarchy, like a shopping cart, user profile login, how to process orders. But kind of the big addition that I've made to that is product recommendations using vector search. So I think that's gonna be pretty cool too.
But can we also expect a dedicated talk on the vector search from you at the
Oh
summit?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually have I actually took just that piece of it. And
Mhm.
I have a smaller talk that I give on just implementing product recommendations in e-commerce with vector search. Actually, I gave that last week in I think it was in New York in AI. It was one of the AI camp days that they've been having around.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, definitely we'll meet at the summit, and whoever wants to go, don't miss the summit because I went in 2016 and it was a blast.
Oh
So
yeah. Yep.
So we would like to meet all of the community members and spend a lot of technical time talking about these new features.
Yep. It is going to be
Cool.
pretty cool. Yep,
Yep.
for sure.
So just tell us what is your dream project if you get a chance to work on. What do you want to work on in the next few years?
Wow. Well, that's a tough question, Sarma. You know, I've always wanted to to get to to work a little bit on like a video game or something. I've done a couple of like little like small video games that I've built into some advertisements that we've done for data stacks. And those have been a lot of fun. So yeah, I really do enjoy doing some of that, but I have to say that working at DataStax has been really cool because I get to work on newer things that are kind of on the cutting edge. And when you work in a big enterprise, that adoption of cutting edge is a lot slower because you don't just want to take the next new thing and throw it out there in prod. When you have billions of dollars in revenue,
Right, right.
dependent on that. So it takes a little bit more in the enterprise world to work on like some of the cutting edge things, but yeah, so it's like if I wouldn't have come to DataStax, I wouldn't be working on vector search at all or anything like that. So yeah, I think that if I can keep working on cool things with that and help a lot of folks kind of see the benefits of it, yeah, that's kind of what I want to be doing.
Cool, cool. And as you mentioned, like the game you mentioned about advertisement, I do
Mhm.
remember Patrick was the voice actor in that for Cassandra Summit. So
That's right. He was an NPC in that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and I had lines for him. Yep.
I really enjoyed that. And I think you should show off your Tron right now because we are talking about gaming.
Oh, my Tron cabinet.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
my
definitely.
my wife got that for me a couple of Christmases ago. Um,
That's that's my favorite in that room,
I yeah,
The,
I really think Tron is pretty cool, and the
yeah,
original arcade game was something else at the time. That was pretty crazy.
that's amazing. So, Aaron, we spent talking about so many different things. So, do you have any closing remarks? And I definitely think this was just an excellent discussion. We learned a lot from your experience. We discussed a couple of product related stuff. We should definitely have more conversations like this.
Yeah, thanks, Sarma. This was actually quite a bit of fun. I think, yeah, yeah. And I guess if I could close with anything, it's just that one thing that I still hear a little bit is that, people will ask, well, if I don't have a lot of data, am I really using Cassandra the way it's supposed to be used? And I would say that no. Cassandra shouldn't be the database of last resort, and that's really what a lot of the work at DataStax over the past couple of years has been about, is making that be the database that's the first choice, because yeah, we want to build a full featured database to help developers concentrate on the business side of things, what they want to be concentrating on. They don't want to have to worry about the database. And that's where we're trying to go. So yeah, if you have a project, even though it's small, we want you to be able, we want you to look at Cassandra as a viable option. Go, oh, hey, that might be all right.
Yep, definitely. And with all the discussion we did, because we are focusing so much on the AI machine learning, we did not talk about the ACID transactions coming into Cassandra
Oh,
5.
right. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
That's a big deal because
Mhm.
I have gone to attended several meetings where people come in and they immediately think Cassandra does not support consistency.
That's right.
And
That's right.
then, you know, we try spending time to explain how consistency works. But there are some people from the old generation, they don't want to see anything if there is no ACID.
Right.
So
Right.
so ACID is coming into Cassandra 5.
Yep.
Doesn't mean Cassandra is going to take over everything else, but definitely Cassandra is something we should definitely keep in our architecture layout
For
because
sure.
it can scale well. It supports a huge amount of transactions coming in, which is suitable for today's what we are doing with a lot of data collection and
Right.
processing.
Right.
Um, and what I like about it is so flexible that it works well with all the streaming technologies, machine learning related use cases. By the way, storage attached indexes work very well with the geographical information system, GIS
Hmm. Hmm.
kind of workloads.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
Good, good,
yeah,
good.
it opens up a lot of new workloads or the use cases. So I
For sure.
definitely suggest trying out Cassandra for sure.
Yep. Yep. No, you're absolutely right. That's the only other thing I was going to say. And well, you said it on the end, is it does open up Cassandra for a lot of new good use cases that it probably wasn't a good fit for before, but hey, it can handle it now.
Yep, yep. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time with us, and you have a wonderful day.
Hey, you're welcome, Sarma. You too. I'll talk to you later.